Well, this is actually a very big book with pictures. I don't know why it became such a big book, because it was actually based on a lot of travel notes which I had taken, in my travels through my own state. But somehow when we went into publication, some, somehow when we went into publication, I also had a lot of photos, and I wanted it to be a kind of pictorial edition as well, to bring out the landscape, the mountains, the people especially. And the book it kind of expanded, and it became this rather big book called Arunachal Pradesh, The Hidden Land. Although now I think everyone is of the opinion that it's not so hidden. We are the kind of sentinel at the frontier, and we come into the news ever so often, regarding territory, etc., and disputed lines. But it was my attempt to bring into focus, even for myself, just an attempt to record and to document life in the hills. And also it's a collection of a lot of our traditional mythology and religious and spiritual beliefs. No, my schooling was in Shillong. I was in boarding school for right from the beginning till we went into college. Of course, because my father was posted in different parts of Arunachal, we had this upbringing where we really didn't have friends. It was all in very rural areas, and mind you, it was not Arunachal then, it was the Northeast Frontier Agency, But from college onwards, then I did travel quite a lot. I went out, I traveled and lived in Athens and South Korea and different parts of Southeast Asia, the UK. So on returning to Arunachal in the early 90s, that's when I thought, it was, I think it always helps if you go out and then you get a little distance and then you come back and you realize some deeper things, in life, and you say, oh, this is what I want to do. And luckily, I think for me, even though I barely spoke my mother tongue, even in school and all through college, I never lost it, so I could go back to the villages and talk to people, and this became the work of non-fiction. See, this concept is, this is very funny. This is something I ask myself, but I think now I say, it doesn't matter. I'm very much an insider, of course. I feel I can connect immediately. And I can always connect to the very elderly and to the very young. I think also by temperament. And it's the greatest pleasure for me, to draw up an old wooden board and sit near the fire and just start talking with these people. Because I feel I'm going to learn something, another reality is going to unfold right before me, And it comes only when I travel through villages or meet people maybe we speak the same language, but whom I'm so far away from, but the connection happens immediately. I think for them also. Sometimes I tell them, funny things in English. I translate it back to Adi and I say, they say this, then they tell me something else, and it's a very nice way of being with them. I think whatever is, strong enough or real enough to survive will survive, no matter what influences come in. When I wrote this book, this was done with a great deal of toil, I might say, labor even. It was my first effort, and I was in Delhi and I was working with some publishers, across the river in Noida, and they said Arunachal. Then the photo captions would come as Andaman, I said no, and I was surrounded by computers. We actually did the layout and everything by ourselves. So anyway, it was put together. Then since then, there was a wave of interest, people were saying, see this kind of book has come out, and we really need to document things more, because we don't have a script language also, and obviously this book is in English. Then with the coming out of the novel, there also you were asking me, Rajiv, about this insider outsider thing. I was thinking, here I am writing, most authors do this, we take people's lives and make fiction of it, or we reveal something else. So the question was, whatever I have written, the people I've written about probably won't be able to read it again, especially people in the villages. This must be the question for many anthropologists also, the people they're studying and writing about, and social structures, but the people they've written about will never see those books, or will never really know the meaning of what has been written, So then I stopped worrying again. I thought, my people, at least my relatives, village elders said, it's all right, you have an education, so you go and tell people about us, we're here, and they're very humorous also that way. So with the second book, when the news broke that I had had a Delhi release, people in my hometown were really angry, they were saying, where is this book, we are the people of Pensam, that's the title of the book, in between, kind of. We want to see it first, and it was a response that really made me think of my role as a writer, like maybe the responsibilities, or of course we're not out to alter society and change everything, but it just made me think a little bit about my role as a writer. Definitely, I think there has to be a balance, we can't be sitting there. Many people also say about the Elwin years, Dr. Verrier Elwin, who gave all his life to the Northeast and writing about it, and actually first documented things which we today follow as clues, otherwise they would have been lost. There is another group who think, this was a way of keeping us as museum pieces, but that becomes a kind of defensive argument, which should not be, because the moment you go into defensive, then things, kind of spin out of control. So there has to be a balance, between modernity. Now everyone is social networking. Arunachal is one of the states in the Northeast where Hindi is very much spoken and liked. People want to adopt Hindi as, almost the second, if not mother tongue, at least auntie tongue or something, something like that. All the children are not speaking their language anymore, but there is also with this a new resurgence of our old religious beliefs, even trying to constitute a religion, the Donipolo culture, which is there in the hidden land. And also the question of mother tongue has become quite an issue now, because if you travel anywhere in India and you wear, national costume, or you wear your tribal beads, and you stand out as someone from the Northeast region, if you don't speak your language, then it's pretty pointless, because anyone can wear that and say, so you must speak your mother tongue, which unfortunately in Arunachal is being rapidly wiped out by the onslaught of TV style of Hindi, it's not pure Hindustani also. All the children are going that way.